Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
Everybody needs a place to belong.
We'll show you the second groundbreaking of the May Swenson building and who could be in it this time.
It's the individual holding the gun.
How gun owners feel about new regulations.
Songs have just been building on it for years.
Aggie Radio has a new station manager, and we'll show you her plans to include you.
I'll show you Aggie scoring goals, winning matches, and hitting dingers, while others are jumping ship in sports.
What's the coldest town in Cache today? I'll show you with our new valley-wide currents graphic in weather.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Our expectation is to win and win at the highest level.
After taking the Aggies to the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row, former USU men's basketball head coach Craig Smith has been hired as the new head coach at the U. Sam Walker will have more on that coming up in sports. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Kiki Tuileta.
And I'm Sarah Murphy.
So we are going to continue the mask mandate.
President Noelle Cockett gave her State of the University speech this morning. The biggest news, a COVID update.
So we are going to continue the mask mandate, even if lifted by the governor for the state. We will keep that in place at least through spring semester.
Cockett hopes to decrease social distancing in fall 2021 and explained how the USU vaccination clinic will work. She also announced a new building that will be located on the quad.
And now for an update on the number of coronavirus cases in Utah. There have been over 3,000 new cases in Utah from last week, with over 15,000 active cases, and the total number of cases in Utah is over 385,000. In Cache County, there have been 40 new cases today, with over 800 active cases, and the total number of cases in Cache Valley is over 20,000. At USU, there's only one new case since last week, with 55 active cases and over 3,000 total cases.
If you're not sold on all the health benefits of the vaccine, maybe this will appeal to your sweet tooth. They're customers at Krispy Kreme in 2019, but you could be enjoying donuts just like them for free. Krispy Kreme announced that to show their support to people who get vaccinated, anyone who shows their COVID-19 vaccine card can get a free glazed donut every day for the rest of the year.
The pandemic has increased violence towards Asians. Leah Krishoni shows us how this has affected students at USU.
Rallies are happening all over the U.S. after the Atlanta spa shooting that killed 6 Asian women. Since the pandemic began, Asians said that the number of assaults towards them has increased, and students here at USU say they have experienced it firsthand.
Whenever we are passing, there's some local people, and they were just like starting to staring at us. And I don't know, I feel like the way they are looking at us is like, why are we bringing the virus to here? But the fun thing is we're not even Chinese.
I talked to my friend, and they said that they were actually physically assaulted on campus and verbally abused when they were being assaulted because of their race, because of this pandemic.
The Inclusion Center in room 315 of the TSC provides resources for all students. The inclusion staff say that they are working hard to provide more resources for students of color.
The biggest initiatives on my platform, and it's something that Olivia Hodge, the current Chasse senator, kind of spearheaded last year, would be to do an inclusion and diversity training for faculty and staff, make it required, and then streamlining that training to all student leaders, and then hopefully getting that to go campus-wide.
For the past year, especially since I'm part of the anti-racist focus group, and that's like a student coalition on campus where they're trying to fight for, social equity stuff for our students on campus.
Students of color say they want everyone to continue to take action against violence towards Asians and to remember
The hate towards Asian Americans has been going on, forever, and this isn't anything new. It's just not been as publicized, or maybe like in the mainstream consciousness. So just be aware that like it's something that's been going on for a while, and that talk to your friends, but also educate yourself.
Leah Krishoni, ATV News.
For more information about how to stop the AAPI hate movement, you can find a link on our Facebook page.
The book Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey sold more than 50 million copies. It took 289 signatures to bring down one of Pilkey's other books, The Adventures of Ook and Glook. A Change.org petition says the book relied on multiple instances of racist imagery and stereotypical tropes and dashes for eyes on the Asian characters. Scholastic and Pilkey apologized and pulled the book. It was released in 2010 and was a bestseller.
How involved do you think the government should be with gun control? I spoke with some gun owners from my own family about their feelings on the government's actions.
The cock of a gun is a common sound in this house, and firearms are a familiar sight.
I like it. The fact that I'm an American citizen and I have the right to, bear arms and be able to protect myself and my family.
The current system is set up so only a background check is required to buy a firearm. But Bill H.R. 127 pushes for required psychological tests for future gun buyers.
It's a movement towards infringing upon an individual's right to bear arms.
But others say
they should screen everybody. You don't want a psychopath to get a hold of a gun and go, mass shooting at churches and big gatherings.
Election years traditionally have higher gun sales, and from February of last year to February of this year, the FBI records there was a national increase of almost 23% in the number of people who went through the firearm background check.
The federal government is moving towards more restrictive gun laws, where the state of Utah is moving in a slightly different direction. HB 60 says that anybody over the age of 21 can conceal their firearms without a permit.
If he's going to put it into a concealed position to use it improperly, does he care about the permit? Not even a little bit.
People are going to be walking around. You don't know now, but now you really don't know.
I place an awful lot of faith in our founding fathers. I think they were guided by God in their wisdom, and I trusted their decisions over 200 years ago, and I trust them today.
The federal bill, H.R. 127, is still being reviewed by the House.
A new building is in development on Logan campus. William Boltez joins us live at the planned site to tell us what the building will be used for. William?
Thanks, Sarah. I'm here at 7th East in Logan, and if you look to your left here is the old main hill, the bottom of it. Now, if you go across the road, there's some balloons that mark a path through those trees that takes you to the plot of land that they're hoping to build on. Now, this home is going to support LGBTQ plus youth and their families, and it's run by an organization called Encircle. The group has 3 other homes in Utah that run activities, educational programs, and therapy.
It's just a tremendous opportunity that we have to help create a community, a place of belonging.
Logan City officials, Utah State administrators, and officers from Encircle, a support group for the LGBTQ plus community, broke ground for that place of belonging next to the Kane House and Old Main.
We'll do 6,000 sessions of therapy this year. We have programs every night that range from art classes to music to service projects to programs for parents.
The house was designed to blend in with houses in Cache Valley, but was modeled after the childhood home of Mae Swenson, a USU alumna, renowned poet, and lesbian. This is the planned location for the new home. The founder said each home can support up to 12 group therapy sessions each week, with 20 participants each session. That's 240 LGBTQ youth who can benefit from this home each week. University officers and Encircle both said they were looking forward to working with each other.
Students will be able to go to class and then just come over. We'll be able to partner with different departments to facilitate programming and internships.
This is something that has been needed
in the community and needed here at Utah State for a really long time.
This is a community place they have that they know that they're welcome. I couldn't ask for more.
The only thing they were worried about?
I was a little bit concerned about the purple, you know, the Weber connection. We're thinking maybe, you know, a big bull or something there next to it.
That same ground was broken in 2018 for a building to honor the poet May Swenson. Obviously, that building was never built, but the 3 new houses encircle this building are backed by a $4 million donation from the CEO of Apple, the Utah Jazz owners, and Dan Reynolds of Imagine Dragons. Reporting live, William Boltez, ATV News.
Thanks, William. Now, it seems like they're probably more likely to finish it this time around with that big donation behind it. So, do you know when they're planning on having this one finished?
Yeah, so those buildings, the 3 buildings that they're planning to build, are hoping to be finished by the end of next spring, as so they say.
Thanks, great. Thanks, Will.
And coming up, Josh Davis will give you the 7-day forecast. The current temperature is 51 degrees.
Welcome back to ATV News. Now, Joe Biden is not shy about his Catholicism, but some Catholics in the region think he should refrain from an important sacrament. Jonathan May shows you why locals in the church think the president should not receive communion.
There are more than 300,000 Catholics in Utah, and in the United States, there are 51 million. But the most famous American Catholic...
I go to Mass and I say the Rosary. I find it to be incredibly comforting.
But some parishioners say his policies go against church teachings.
Joe Biden is not so shy about his beliefs around abortion, which we Catholics fundamentally believe that abortion is murder.
My religion is just an enormous sense of solace.
With Biden's belief about abortion and how important that is to us as Catholics, we don't believe that he's fit spiritually to receive the Eucharist.
The Eucharist is the most important sacrament of the Catholic Church.
Receiving the body of Jesus Christ is a very sacred thing that we hold dear in the Catholic faith, and we believe that we should be of sound mind and sound spiritual foundation before receiving him.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church says you should not line up to receive the Eucharist at Mass if you're in a state of mortal sin. It reads, "Mortal sin destroys charity in the hearts of man by grave violation of God's law. It turns man away from God."
We believe that the body and blood is actually Jesus Christ, and so it profanes him.
I'd call up Joe privately and I say, Joe, you know, you can't present yourself for communion because you're such a public figure. You're not some private farmer from 5 miles down the road, because everybody knows how you are, that you are willing to fund abortions.
Personally for me, faith, it's all about hope and purpose and strength.
If you keep coming to church and you keep telling me I'm a devout Catholic, oh, but I think abortion's okay. I'm confused, Joe. I need for you to explain that to me. So if he were my parishioner, I'd say, Joe, until you can explain it to me, why don't you're welcome to come to church. You know, I'm not going to stop you, but I would ask you to not present yourself to communion.
Catholics say at the end of the day, or Mass, or life, none of these people in these pews are perfect.
The odds of getting a saint in the Oval Office is really low, and you know, as Catholics, we We love everyone else, regardless of where they are in their journey.
Jonathan May, ATV News.
Joe Biden is the second Catholic president of the United States. John F. Kennedy was the first.
Okay, we got it. And welcome to ATV Weather. I'm Josh Davis. Now, as you can see, I've been taking the temperatures all across the valley, and if you look out here in Smithfield and North Logan, the northern part of the valley, there's lower lows and lower highs. Here in the Central Valley, Logan and Providence area, you get that 52. It's a little bit warmer, but still chilly for spring. And in that south end, similar, you got that 52 is the high and 24 as the low. But let's zoom out a little bit and look at the national radar. You see here, almost the entire western half of the United States is clear as day, and we're actually going to have a little bit more on that in a bit. But if you look on the east side, it's not clear at all. Right here in this central southern area, especially in Nashville, they've had some nasty flooding, and that storm continues to make its way up the coast all the way up to Albany. But let's take a look at the state radar. Now, as you can see here, the state is almost completely empty, and that's been a pattern since last spring. Utah recently declared a state of emergency for drought. Now, climatologist Jonathan Meyer joins us. Jonathan, what actually defines a drought?
I guess there's really two components of it. It typically tends to be defined as some prolonged period of time where you don't have enough precipitation, whether it's rain or snow, to deliver enough water to a region to satisfy its demands. And so you have a water supply issue thanks to just not enough precipitation over a given period of time. It could be a couple of weeks, it could be a few months, or even years or longer in some historical cases.
Okay, so then people should plan on being in drought conditions for quite a while then.
And I think people need to understand that there is a chance that there might be a year or two or maybe even 3 or more years where we have extremely stressed water resources. And so being comfortable with not having a green yard or washing our cars or using water as much as we do so freely because it's really cheap and it's always available, that those are not guarantees. And there may be coming a time where those kind of weather and climate stressors are quite a bit more tangible to our daily lives. And the earlier we can get accustomed to living a little bit more frugally, I guess, with water, the better.
So Jonathan, is there any chance that a good rainstorm or maybe like a fruitful spring could take us out of the drought?
You can't really break out of a drought with one good snow or rainfall event. You have to have more than a couple that last for a while to replenish all the lost water. But yeah, it really is a collection of many weather events that either stress the drought or limit the amount of precipitation that occurs.
Thanks, Jonathan. Now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. So today is pretty chilly with the 52 high and a 23 low, but as we get into the weekend, it's starting to get a little warmer. So even though there is clouds on Saturday and Sunday, you should expect a high of 75 and 74 on those days. And as we start to leave the week, it'll start to get a little colder going back into next week. So now you're all caught up on ATV weather. Back to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Josh. Do you like to have control over the music you listen to? You might get the chance to here on campus. I met with Aggie Radio's new station manager and found out her plans to include you.
Hello Aggies, you are tuned in to KBLU LP Logan 92.3 FM Aggie Radio.
Aggie Radio,
I just wanted it to be about the music this week.
a station hosted by students for students.
And you are listening to No Sugar Added, hosted by me, Audrey.
When I got to USU, I found a home in Aggie Radio that I hadn't anywhere else.
You can pick up Aggie Radio anywhere on campus and in most of Logan. But the problem's not the signal, it's the stuff on it.
The person who chooses the music, they're called the music director, but that person changes every year. And so it's just kind of whatever the music director is getting and wants to put on the station that's going on the station.
A process that many students aren't aware of.
Don't really know about it.
I just don't really know much about it, and whenever I do listen to like songs or anything, it's usually just from a streaming service.
But with a change in staffing, employees say they not only hope their numbers will change.
I do hope that we can get more students listening to our station because we are cool and we do have cool music taste and other students should be listening to us.
But they have the plans to do so.
The way that we program songs, it's on this system called SAM. One of the things that I really want to work on next year is cleaning that system out because songs have just been building on it for years. I would like to be playing more songs that people are listening to. We should be that cool underground scene that they're listening to find new music and also listen to the cool underground things they already know.
Ho says she plans on putting out Google Docs forms so you can request your favorite songs. You can find a link to Aggie Radio's website on our Facebook page. And coming up,
Kappa Delta has been a huge supporter of the Family Place for quite a few years.
you've probably heard about Kappa Delta's week of fundraising. We'll show you more after the break.
The new head men's basketball coach at the University of Utah.
You've probably heard about Coach Smith's new colors. Sam Walker will show you who might not be an Aggie next year in sports.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm Sam Walker. If you haven't already heard by now or caught on by this point, the bad news is true. USU men's head basketball coach Craig Smith has been hired by the University of Utah as their head coach. After
That way. That's perfect. You can't draw it up any better.
After leading the Aggies to the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row and having a record of 74 wins to 24 losses, Smith has traded his blue in for red.
Couldn't be more thrilled to be the men's basketball coach at the University of Utah.
Smith's decision to trade colors and move down south shocked us all, but John Hartwell is already looking for a new head coach.
An opportunity to continue to build on that success, and it does not take long in this world for many people to start reaching out to you.
Hartwell hopes to have a new head coach in place by next week, and I can't speak for everyone, but I know I'm excited to see who it is. Along with Coach Smith, Neemias Queta will not be an Aggie next year as he is declared for the NBA draft. Now, let's take a look at how our fellow Aggie sizes up for the draft.
Lob pass, Queta, catch, finish!
Look at that. The 7-foot, 245-pound junior averaged 14 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 assists. He made 56% of his field goals and was named the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. And on top of that, he is one of the 4 finalists for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. And if that doesn't make him a tempting new addition to any NBA team, he also measured in with a 7'4" wingspan in the 2019 draft combine. That, paired with his height, gave him a 9'3" standing reach, and we've seen this makes him a pretty dangerous player in the paint. Queta is looking like a good pick for the NBA, which reminds me of another former Aggie who's been making his own mark in the pros. Yeah, that's right. Sam Merrill has started to get more playing time, and he's used that time very well.
On Friday, the Bucks lost to the Celtics, but Merrill hit his career high with 15 points on the night, 1 steal and 2 rebounds. And don't forget about this dunk. Oh man, look at him get up there. But this was just the start, as Merrill and the Bucks faced off against the Knicks on Saturday. It was another loss for the Bucks, but Sam had 8 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 block. And now let's dive into USU sports. The soccer team had a close game this Saturday against the league leaders, New Mexico. The game was all defense as teams battled back and forth, trying to score a goal. It wasn't until the 53rd minute of the game when Niederhauser sent the ball perfectly for Amita Williams to head it into the goal. Man, let's look at that again. Nate, play from the top and slow it down a little. Here it comes, right there. And there's the hit from Niederhauser and Williams right there to head it in. Such an amazing play by the Aggies. After the game, Williams said,
"They're a good team, but we know that we can compete, and obviously we showed today that we were better than that."
Williams' header was the only goal of the game and marked a huge victory for our Aggies as they beat the powerhouse New Mexico, giving them their first loss of the season. The soccer team's next game is on Friday against Colorado College, and the Aggies are hoping to take this momentum into another win. The softball team had 3 games against Fresno State this weekend with a doubleheader on Saturday. The first game on Saturday was a battle of the pitchers. The scoreboard was empty until Fresno State hit a solo home run in the top of the 9th inning. The second game started slowly again until Fresno State exploded in the 4th inning with 8 runs off of 5 hits and won that game 9-1. The third game was neck and neck as the Aggies left the game tied up after 4 innings and at 2 runs each. Going into the bottom of the 7th, the Aggies had one last chance with Fresno State ahead 5 to the Aggies 2. With 1 out left in the series, USU senior third baseman Kendra Hira hit this dinger. Woo! The ball soared over the fence and the Aggies rose above the Bulldogs 6-5. Yesterday, the team played UVU and after 5 scoreless innings were outscored 2-1 in the final innings of the game. The softball team will continue with the Mountain West play as they compete against the Wolfpack tomorrow in Nevada. The women's volleyball team battled against Nevada and Colorado State this weekend. Oh, in the face! The Aggies came out shooting against the Wolfpack, winning the first 2 sets with this ace from Christy Frank right there, and then a block from Stalin Spafford. Look at the teamwork, and this kill from Bailey Downing, and they all marked the team's victory 3-1, and their first time competing in the Spectrum since 2013. On Saturday, the Aggies took the lead early against the Rams by winning the first set 25-14. Unfortunately, the Rams returned the favor by winning the next 3 sets and defeating the Aggies. The volleyball team has another game tomorrow in the Spectrum where they'll face San Jose State. Well, you are all caught up with ATV Sports. Back to you at the desk, Kiki.
Thanks, Sam. Well, thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
Our latest updates on our Facebook page.
Aggie Air is an innovative engineering program exclusive to Utah State. It provides opportunities for students to get hands-on and real-world experiences. By building model planes that photograph and scan detailed images of landscapes, Aggie Air can change the way we use the Earth's surface. Watch as Aggie Air takes flight.